In today's video, I'll be sharing with you how I transform myself from a skinny fat, vampire, skin-toned Dutch scarecrow to a rugged, olive-toned Greek, strong and lean calisthenics physique. Okay, so I might have not beaten my North European pale skin genetics yet, but I'm definitely not skinny fat anymore. So to get back on topic, today I'll be sharing with you everything I did to get rid of my skinny fat physique, from diet to exercise and other important pieces of the puzzle that a lot of people neglect. I'll be giving you a more complete solution that not only helped me transform my body, but also boosted my mood, confidence, energy levels, sex drive, and basically improved my whole life. Check it out. Being skinny fat can be quite a tricky starting point, to say the least, when you want to change your body. But first of all, let's establish what the hell is skinny fat anyway. For starters, if you start looking for body types online, you'll typically come across the classic endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph split, and more often than not, the skinny fat physique isn't even included. Next, you also have a lot of popular videos on this subject telling you that there's no medical term for this and how there's no serious reason to change yourself, unless you really want to, using body positivity as an argument and other bad advice like that. So just to set the record straight here, there actually is a medical term for skinny fat, and that is normal weight obesity, which is defined as the combination of normal BMI and high body fat levels. And B, normal weight obesity is actually associated with a bunch of health problems, from heart disease to metabolic disease and a lot more. So obviously it is your choice to decide what you want to do with your body, but it's only fair to know what the stakes are. That being said, the way I explain being skinny fat in simple words is being under-muscled and over-fat despite having a relatively low body weight. Typically, you'll have skinny arms and skinny legs with an excess of soft and pudgy fat in the abdominal area, and more often than not, also in the chest area. The standard causes of being skinny fat are a lack of strength training combined with a poor diet, which can be all there is to it for a lot of people. Still, keep in mind that there are a lot of other things to consider, which, if ignored, can get in the way of improving your situation. For example, a lot of guys with a skinny fat physique also have low testosterone, since a lot of the factors that contribute to skinny fat physique also suppress testosterone levels. So other than having a sedentary lifestyle with a lack of strength training and a crappy diet, additional factors here can also be alcohol, chronic stress, getting garbage sleep, having an appalling haircut, and a lack of sun exposure and outdoor time. All boxes that I personally checked when I was skinny fat. Starting with alcohol, keep in mind that it doesn't take a lot, and just going over 4 drinks a week can start messing with all the important pillars of muscle growth, things such as testosterone, sleep, and recovery. When it comes to chronic stress, simply said, the way I like to think of this is that cortisol feeds fat and eats muscle like a termite. After that, when it comes to sleep, I always tell our trainees, no sleep, no gains. Your body builds muscle when you're getting deep quality sleep between 10 p.m. and 7 a.m. in the morning, not when you are doom scrolling at 2 a.m. Lastly, another common characteristic of a lot of skinny fat people, not always, but pretty often times, is what I call vampire syndrome, which is, in simple words, a lack of sun exposure and outdoor time, very common in gamers and people who work from home. And what is basically happening is you're getting most of your light from screens and lamps, which is just another recipe for more garbage sleep, more cortisol, more stress, and again, lower testosterone, as your body kind of thinks that it's permanently stuck in winter mode. Quick parenthesis here, since TRT has becoming more and more popular nowadays, and of course in some extreme scenarios TRT can be necessary, but since this is becoming a massively profitable industry, which is overprescribing people more and more, what you don't hear about TRT is how it can also make things worse, since it not only doesn't treat the root cause of low testosterone, but it also suppresses your body's natural ability to produce testosterone in the long run, with plenty of other side effects and health risks as well. That being said, let's see how I fixed my skinny fat physique naturally and how I continue to help others achieve this in our coaching practice. Now, for starters, since a lot of people who try to get rid of their skinny fat physique tend to waste their time and energy on things that do not work, let's first of all make clear what these things are. Number one is cardio. The way I explain this is that you do not want to focus on anything that is too stressful unless that thing is helping you maximize muscle growth. This is why when you add cardio as a skinny fat person, all you do is simply slow down muscle growth and also plateau your fat loss, especially after week 2 or 3. This is why you also want to stay away from all the flashy strength training fads and trends that mix strength with too much intense cardio. Things such as high rocks, CrossFit, anything that gets your heart rate pumping too much, anything that mixes strength with a ton of metabolic stress, since all these things are just stealing energy resources that should be focused on your main focus, which is muscle growth. So if you want to turn skinny fat into solid mass, you need to focus all of your energy and effort on getting stronger, followed by rest and progressive overload, things that these hybrid programs do not deliver in the long run. So to be more specific, what worked miracles for me back then, but also what works really, really well for our skinny fat trainees nowadays, is a full body hybrid calisthenics routine applied 3 times a week. Those of you who have read my first book from those days have an idea of what I'm talking about. But since I've learned a lot after 13 years of constant studying and practice, today I'll be sharing with you a slightly more updated and better approach. By the way, if you're tired of feeling like crap and being skinny fat, if you'd rather feel amazing in your skin and carve a rugged, strong and lean calisthenics physique, then make sure you fill in the application below, since every month we are looking for 5 people like you to join our online coaching program. By doing so, you'll be booking a free consultation call with me. We'll be discussing your goals. I'll be explaining to you how our program works. And in the end, we'll be deciding together if this is a good fit for both of us. Check it out. In summary, you want to train again 3 times a week, focusing on what we call nowadays our 4 laws of hypertrophy calisthenics. So the first unbreakable law of our hybrid calisthenics hypertrophy system is the law of proper exercise selection. This means that you want to train full body, covering all 6 essential human movement patterns, meaning you want a overhead pull and an overhead push. You want a horizontal pull and a horizontal push. You want a knee dominant or squat related lower body exercise. And lastly, you want a posterior kinetic chain exercise, which is a fancy way of saying something that works most of your backside from the lower back down, ideally hitting your hamstrings as well. Now, since we've covered all these options in extreme detail a few videos ago, plus other stuff such as tactics on how to keep this routine short, if you're pressured by time, if you haven't seen that video yet, I highly recommend you do, and I'll be including it in the top-in comment below. Moving to our second unbreakable law, this is the law of perfect form, which in a nutshell means making damn sure that you nail technique during almost every single rep. For starters, this includes the right external cues, such as proper body alignment, tempo, going slow on the negatives, and pausing for a split second midway of your rep to make sure if you're doing a push-up, for example, you are killing momentum and you are also maximizing mind to muscle connection. Our third unbreakable law is the law of intensity. Something that we noticed very early in our coaching practice was that most of the people that came to us were basically stopping their sets the moment that their reps started to slow down, when the reality is that this is exactly when the hypertrophy trigger is actually tripped. So learning to train till actual technical failure is a crucial element of your training. This is what will be getting you a big percentage of the results of, gaining muscle. And especially as a skinny fat, you cannot afford not to do this properly. What I can tell you here is, keep in mind that training hard is a skill, and the more you practice it, the better you get at it. Again, I've made a detailed video guide on how to get better at training hard, which I'll include in the top comment below. Finally, our fourth unbreakable law is the law of constant improvement. And in a nutshell, once you pick the right exercise for your level, once you nail form and you are successfully training through failure, the final step of this process is becoming obsessed with getting stronger from session to session. Either that's by progressing to a harder variation, doing more reps, or adding more weight. Unless your workouts are driven by this obsession, that skinny, stubborn fat will not be going anywhere. And this is a guarantee, since we see a lot of skinny fat people fail to transform their physique when they do not take this law seriously enough. So once I started strength training consistently, and I fixed my nutrition, which we'll cover next, this is the habit that tied everything together and helped me get rid of that last part of skinny fat. So in the beginning of my skinny fat journey, prior to my amputation and while being in a full leg cast, I used to follow a more simplified routine that was more focused on the upper body for obvious reasons. And even though I got some decent results with that, I still wasn't there with getting rid of my skinny fat physique. But once I got my first prosthesis and was able to spend more time moving outdoors, that was a game changer. For starters, once I started taking my strength sessions outdoors as often as possible, after having spent most of the previous past 5 or 6 years in vampire mode, had a profound impact on my overall health, both physically, psychologically, but also physiologically. Basically, moving more and more in the outdoors proved to be essential for helping me mobilize those last skinny fat reserves. It also increased and improved a ton of other stuff, like my vitamin D levels, my mood, my testosterone, my sleep, and basically everything. Even my recovery started to improve, and I can't think really of anything that did not improve simply from me moving more in the outdoors. Now, although nowadays I do try to take as many of my strength sessions outdoors, this is not often possible, this is not often practical, yet something I never compromise is my daily outdoor dynamic walk. To make a long story short, when you focus all your energy reserves on hard strength workouts surrounded by a few extra 1,000 steps per day, this is when you'll start seeing your results improve exponentially. Personally, I started with 3,000 steps a day, since I was also learning to walk on a prosthetic leg at the same time. But before I knew it, I was getting 10K steps a day, which was when I saw my progress accelerate dramatically. By the way, this was also the habit that made the biggest difference for my sleep. From not being able to sleep before 4 a.m., I went to sleeping consistently at 11 p.m. and waking up fully rested at 6. In the end, we are meant to move outdoors anyway. This is something deeply woven into our DNA as persistence hunters. We need sunlight if we want to regulate our hormones, if we want to fall asleep at the right time. Plus, one of the best ways to decrease chronic stress is getting outdoors, getting sun and fresh air, and moving. The main nutritional difference when it comes to skinny fat people versus regular people who have to lose fat that is more evenly distributed in their body is caloric intake. Specifically, instead of going on a cut or on a bulk, you want to start with eating just enough to maintain your current weight. The next most important part of your diet is protein. Prioritizing as much of it as possible is essential if you want to help your body recomposition, meaning losing fat while gaining muscle at the same time. So again, starting from a calorie deficit or even a surplus, as I often hear people recommend, is something I highly disagree. This might be future steps. Now, in terms of diet quality, you want to focus on a 90% clean diet based on minimally processed whole foods to ensure proper nutrient partitioning, meaning foods that are most likely to feed muscle rather than fat. In terms of food sources, here's what I want you to focus on. When it comes to protein, you want a combination of lean meats, including red meat, eggs, poultry, fish, and dairy. If at least your body can handle this well, these should be your first priority to support muscle growth and recovery. In terms of carbs, you want all the classic ones, rice, potatoes, legumes, whole grains like oats and quinoa. These should be your go-to. These provide the necessary fuel for your workouts and also replenish glycogen stores. Lastly, when it comes to fats, you want healthy fats from sources like avocado, olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish like salmon and mackerel. These are all crucial for production of the right hormones and overall health, and prioritizing these will be very important for sustained energy and muscle function. Finally, your macro split will depend on your activity level, overall stress, and other factors, but a good starting point will be something like this. When it comes to protein, something between 35 and 40%, to make sure that you repair and grow muscle. When it comes to carbs, anything between 30 and 35%. And when it comes to fats, anything between 25 and 30%. In summary, if you want to fix a skinny fat physique, you want to focus on pure strength training in combination with getting your steps in, but also getting your daily dose of sun and outdoor activity. After that, results will follow. That was all for today. If you have any questions, make sure you leave them below. I always do my best to get back to you. And until next time, keep on training.